Hello and welcome to Leeds United latest here on the West Yorkshire Football Show with myself, Stephen Brown, and joining me to discuss all things Leeds United is, of course, Jason Booker. Jason, how we doing, mate?
Really good, mate. Happy and soggy on this wet Thursday morning.
This?
I know.
What is going on? I'm not used to this. I'm still like, shorts. I've got a hoodie on. I'm like, what is going on? This hasn't seen the light of day in months.
Well, I live in hoodies, but
yeah, you do.
On even when
you do, don't you?
But yeah, it's been a bit of a baptism of fire coming back from Lanzarote to this because it's a little bit chilly. But yeah, all good, mate. I'm super gassed for the weekend. I can't lie. I just want to consume all things football. Bradford City play Sheffield Wednesday tonight, so I'll be watching that because Harry Gray is obviously going to be on show, so I'm looking forward to that. They've sold out of Sheffield Wednesday. I think it's 34,000, and apparently Bradford City, this is have sold over 10,000, which is pretty wild, isn't it? Really, for a midweek. Yeah, it's local, but still midweek League One game. So it should be good. But anyway, yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm looking forward to the football. All the news that's been coming in. Leeds have played this window perfectly. Yeah. They've left all these contract announcements to this week, which is I just think it creates such a great feeling going in at Saturday. So, but yeah, mate, I'm buzzing.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're watching along, please do get your comments in. Please like the video and also get subscribed to the channel as well. Before we kind of get into the Nottingham Forest preview, then, as you've mentioned there, new contracts have been signed. So it was last night, it was breaking that Joe Rodon had signed an extension to his deal. And then today we've got Jayden Bogle, who's come out and signed a new contract. And along with Ethan Ampadu, signed up earlier in the summer. It's three huge players for Leeds United. Lockdown. Even if you end up selling them, the value's protected because of the length of contracts. But hopefully, we can grow with them and continue to develop. Just kind of a word for Rodon first, Jay. 29 he'll be in October, so a decent length contract for him that should see him into his early 30s. I absolutely love Joe Rodon. I think Daniel Farke does as well. I think for me he's kind of almost like the quintessential kind of Leeds United player in terms of, if you think historically, the type of players that Leeds United fans love. They give everything. Got quality, undoubted quality as well, but they give blood, sweat, and tears to the shirt, and Joe Rodon absolutely does that, Jay.
Yeah, the only player that I really can think that kind of just rings the same bells as him is Liam Cooper. Now, he's better than Liam Cooper for me, and I think most people would agree with that. But he carries himself in the same way as Liam Cooper did. Captain material. Obviously, Joe Rodon doesn't wear the band, but he's a stalwart, defensively really astute, and he carries himself, as you say, like a proper Leeds United player. And I think Joe Rodon is a prime example of the club being absolutely perfect for him as well. The timing of his transfer, I think, was key to his career. Who knows where Joe Rodon's career would have gone if that move would have gone badly. And he signed on loan and he had a great season. I think he played all but one game that season after the suspension. There shouldn't have been a suspension, pretty much. And he's just kind of typified everything that we would have wanted. And then at the end of that season, he had the opportunity to go to the Premier League, and he turned down Premier League moves to come to Leeds United back again in the Championship. And that's testament to Daniel Farke. It's testament to the club and the way that they made him feel, but also him as a man. That he kind of recognised what Leeds United had done, the way that he'd been made to feel, the fans and everything that comes with that. I really hope that Joe Rodon can carry on being important for Leeds United to the point that when he then gets to 33 and he's, the end of this contract's coming, he gets another 2 years and he's happy being a backup at 34, 35, or maybe, he develops into one of them centre-backs that can still carry on into the late 30s. Hopefully, his availability is second to none, isn't it? So I hope so. I'd love to see him go down as a proper hallmark Leeds United legend. I love him. Great.
Yeah, it definitely feels like he's on his way to that. And I think he's talked about himself. We've mentioned it on the show before that he felt like a car that had been parked in the garage. And the car analogy really works. He hasn't got a lot of miles on the clock, even though he's going to turn 29 this year. Because of the career he's had, it feels like he's got a lot of football left in him. I mean, you bang on, he could play till his mid-30s potentially at such high level. I do feel like Tottenham really kind of missed out a little bit with Joe Rodon, because it was when Postecoglou was there. Obviously, it was the loan after the loan season. They were running out of centre backs. He played a high line. He needed a quick centre back. I was like, surely, like, didn't somebody think, oh yeah, Joe Rodon might be okay to kind of have as kind of a backup, maybe someone to come in, kind of centre back. I was kind of
they had a lot of injuries.
Nervous at that at the time.
Well, they had a lot of injuries, didn't they? All at the same time. And it didn't make any sense, really. I mean, if he'd have been there, same for Manor Solomon in the second season. But Joe Rodon he'd have played a lot of games in both of them seasons because of the injuries. I mean, in the second season, they ended up having actually great centre-back. You know what I mean? It's a madness, isn't it, really? So, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think Joe Rodon's career, as far as the Spurs have been concerned, has been an absolute car crash, really. Why they signed him, I don't know. I mean, when they signed him, it was a real out of the blue signing. Jose Mourinho signed him, and it was so random. I mean, he'd had a good season at Swansea, and he were developing well, but he was never ready to go to the top 6 of the Premier League, which is what they did, and he wasn't ready. And then he ends up over on loan in France, which is mental in itself, really, when you think of Joe Rodon. He's kind of got brought up in the interview. He needs, I think, that family feel around him. He needs friends, and you can understand that. Like, we're all different, and that's important to him. So, but for me, if he continues, he'll go down as one of the best transfers Leeds United have ever made. The value for money is unreal, and same goes for the second person we'll talk about in Jayden Bogle in terms of transfer fee. But for me, Joe Rodon, that quality of centre back and that availability for 10 to 12 million or whatever we paid, it's an absolute bargain.
Yeah, indeed, absolutely. A couple of comments to get to as well. Riz, good morning, welcome along, mate. Gab, morning. Nemetra to Wrexham, we'll talk a little bit about that in a couple of moments. Hammer, hello, how are we all? So thank you for that. Get your likes in on the video, get your comments as well. Jayden Bogle, the other one. Do you know, it was funny actually, because I initially thought when it came through, I was like, he's been with us 3 years. I always think of him being here in that first Farke, and of course he wasn't. He came in at the start of the second Farke year, but I always kind of remember it as like he's been there the entire kind of Farke regime, because he feels like he has almost. It feels like he's such a stalwart, such a part of it. He was someone who was coming on. I always remember when he was like a Football Manager wonder kid, wasn't he, Bogle? There were a couple of versions where he was high potential. And, I think Sheffield United, it was one of those situations where there was a little bit of bitterness coming from them, I think, and he'll never make it in the Premier League and blah, blah, blah. And he's another one who's come in and he's been an absolute sensation, and I'm delighted we've got him locked down.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, mate. I mean, right now, you'd be talking about, if you were going to sell Jayden Bogle, 25, 30 million quid. Yeah. Because you don't get them kind of qualities as a right back. And I think going forward, I'd argue is as good as any fullback we've ever had. Well, not ever, but in terms of maybe 20 years.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, do you know that it was funny that because I've been watching highlights from the season. You've got goals flash up, and there was an assist that he gave for Tanaka in the Chelsea game, and he does the deftest of touch to lay the ball perfectly on for Tanaka, and I'm like, this guy's a right fullback. Yeah. And you bang on in an attacking sense. I can't think of many that have ever been better than him.
The goal against Forest at home last season. I mean, he put centre forward. It's like, and I mean, I know some of that's tactical, but he's still got the ability to be able to do that, the deft first touch, and then he finishes it on his left foot. And yeah, I mean, going forward, do you remember the Stoke game back in the back end of the Championship season when he was just taking the piss? Oh, like he was fully turning into cafe. We were megging people and knocking it around them, and the assist for Firpo was a joke. I mean, Bogle's an unbelievable player, and I think defensively, I think he's way better than what Sheffield United fans ever made out. I remember the first 3 games. We were all a little bit like, we can see the defensive issue. But he very quickly got it together. And I think, certainly in the Premier League, I don't think he's looked out of place at all as a defensive right back. So,
no.
5 million quid, £5 million in the modern day market is mental. Absolutely mental. And Sheffield United fans were laughing at us. So, great, and I like him. I think he suits the team. There's been a lot of interviews that have kind of come out with him where he's involved in kind of like the games. I don't know if you've seen him and Ampadu playing. He gets involved in all that kind of stuff, and you can see he's a bit of a laugh. And it's important, isn't it? It's important for the dressing room. Loads have come out about the dressing room this window, about how good the dressing room is at Leeds United, and you can see it. You can see it in the way that they're playing. Again, I'm going to give him his flowers. That all comes down to Daniel Farke and the ingredients of putting the right players together as well. Recruitment's a massive part of that too.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's bang on. I was watching back some of what was being said around the time before the Chelsea win, kind of, and it all felt very doom and gloom. And you realise how much pressure was on the group at that point. We were in the bottom three, a lot of pressure, and just the sheer kind of grit and determination of that group just dug them out. Because we always said quality wise we were certainly not. Not the top end of the table by any stretch. So we really had to dig in and fight for it. And you can see that in the group. You bang on. Did you see the Stack video on his own YouTube channel where he's in New York? He's in New York or something, and he's basically going up to like girls and getting them to rate like his teammates. I don't know if you've seen that.
We went completely off them.
Yeah, I noticed because you were like stuck in one pose. I was like, God, he's really thinking about this question. He's really having a good think about this.
I don't know if that were me or you or StreamYard or both or what. You're gonna have to repeat all of that.
No, so I don't know. I was saying, have you seen that? Just talking of kind of videos coming out from the group, have you seen the Stack video in America where he's going up to like women and getting them to like judge the fellow Leeds players?
He's done them over here before, so he's actually TV in it. He's got his own YouTube channel. The guy's hilarious. I mean, he's such a comedy guy in it, and he's personable in it. I mean, you can see him having a career in media afterwards for sure. And I've seen it, and it's hilarious. Like rating them, getting them to predict the names and the job and stuff in it. the one that I saw that made me laugh the most was the girl that rated Calvert-Lewin a 2, and Anton started.
Like what? Yeah, so good. Let's get to some of your comments then. Skip, it's been a very good window for us in both incoming and outgoings. Yes, we still have about 2 weeks left in the window, but I just feel we need 3 or 4 more signings.
You know that comment, because Skip's right, and most Leeds fans will be kind of saying it, but you will say that at the end of every window because we're not Arsenal. You know what I mean? We always are going to need 3 or 4 more signings, always, until we get to the point where we're winning the Premier League. So that's not a surprise. I know what you mean. We desperately need a goalkeeper, don't we? And we're gonna get a backup keeper at some point. I don't think we're in this much of a desperation for a backup left wing back as people are making out we are. I can understand.
I'm coming round to that. I don't feel it's top of the list by any means.
It's not. I'd say striker's more important, and I know we'll get to that conversation with regards to Metra as well. But I'd say a striker is more important. Maybe even just another creative player in it, because there is an avenue to say that if you got another really good creative outlet on the left hand side, Noah Okafor could play as the man up front if we really needed to, and we wouldn't then desperately need a number 9 as much. There's a gap in the creative side of the pitch. It's not necessarily a 9 or a left winger or whatever.
Yeah, indeed. Steve, Rodon looked great when he was joining in the attack in the friendlies. Yeah, he absolutely did. Indeed. Gav, 5 million for Bogle and Blunt fans dismissing his Premier League credibility. Lol. Yeah, absolutely. And also about quashing Everton's interest, because there were some bits and pieces, weren't they, about Bogle to Everton. So I'm glad that's done. As Merv says here, Bogle has signed until 2030. Couple of other players and contracts that we're still waiting to hear on. We might get some movement in. First one is Brendan Aronson. I'm excited about what Brendan can do this season. I really feel like he's got momentum. I feel like as he's one of them players for me, I do feel that as he gets older and he gets more mature, that polish in his game will increase. And I'm really keen for him to get signed up. I'm a little bit kind of on edge about it because I'm like, it feels almost like, why hasn't it happened? Why hasn't it happened? I really hope we get the Aronson one done ASAP. I don't know what's happening with it. Hopefully soon. Might even be later today. You never know. They might do another one later today. But yeah, I'm keen for Brendan to get sewn up because, I just think, he's going to be 26 this year. We don't want to be losing a player like that for a free next year.
The truth is as well, we want to be proven right a little bit, don't we? We want him to have his time at least and see that time come. That's only natural that we'll kind of feel like that. Everybody knows that watches his channel what I think of Brendan Aronson. I think he's a great option to have. I think his assets are very hard to find. Yeah. I think his attitude is very hard to find. I think he's great for the group. He offers us something that would be extremely difficult to find at this level. So why would we want to see that go for free? Yeah. I'm almost certain that we'll see him sign a new contract in 2030, and there'll be a time that then comes, hopefully next year or maybe the year after, where Brendan Aronson needs to move on because he's not getting the game time because we've developed on so much. That I'm okay with. It's not Brendan Aronson FC, but it's also then just being fair and right by what these players give us at the time when they give us them. And Brendan Aronson last season developed from the season before. Nobody can tell me otherwise. He was better last season than he was the season before that. We saw more composure, we saw more quality, we saw more influence in the attacking areas. Assists and goals went up. He's got some massive goals last season, by the way. Manchester United at home. Unfortunately, the 2 away at Newcastle didn't count for anything because he was brilliant that day. He's got some big goals. The season before, he was better than he was before he went away on loan. So the season in the Championship, you saw his attitude changed in terms of him falling over. He got himself about players more. He didn't moan, he didn't complain. He came up with 9 goals that season, I think it was, plus X amount of assists. Yeah. He was an important part. He scored our goal of the season, the goal away at Derby. Beautiful. I love rewatching that goal. The Solomon into Pirro and the Pirro into Brendan. And there's still such a section of the internet. I don't know if this exists in Ellen Road. I don't know if I think it does, because on the times that I've seen it.
Yeah, I remember him getting booed first time he was back at the pre-season friendly. Yeah, but sorry, mate. Yeah, go on. No, I was just going to say, I think what impressed me with Aronson as well is the desire when he came back to Leeds after that loan. The interviews that came out at that time, the way he kind of throws himself into it. Look, we don't know behind the scenes. I don't know what Jack Harrison or Max Ferber were like when they turn up at the training ground, and it's probably unfair to say that they didn't seem as into it or committed as Brendan Aronson, but I just feel like he emanated such a strong desire to make it right at Leeds or to make it work at Leeds that I think he could have easily just gone on loan again and gone on loan again now and got out of the club next year. But it felt to me like he has such a strong desire and determination, and he fits into all that stuff that you were talking about. He's on the videos as well and everything. Yeah.
He was 21, 22 when he came over to Leeds United, right? Yeah. And he came over to Leeds United in a time where he had an American manager. The ownership were all over the place. The recruitment was terrible. Yeah. He came in and got flogged because he shouldn't have been playing anywhere near as much as what he did in that first season. His then, manager that he signed for, that he knew, that he trusted, got sacked. The club went to absolute rack and ruin from January onwards. The ownership were all over the place, right? And he had this loan clause in his contract, which meant that he could go back out, and he went back to Germany. Well, obviously he come from Salzburg, but he went back over to more of a familiar setting in Berlin that would probably have felt more like home for him. Because bear in mind, he's come over from the other side of the world. He had opportunity to play Champions League football because Union Berlin had qualified for the Champions League. He'd basically been hounded by the fans anyway all season. The same fans that are saying, he left on loan and he's a rat, were the same fans that were then not supporting him when he were going through the shit. So, and on top of all that, he had the opportunity to get his full wage. So, what are people talking? Like, what do people expect? And, when he came back, this never gets mentioned, and I've not mentioned it before. When he came back, he took 50%. He was on 50% of his wage the season that he came back and played in the Championship. Yeah. Now, when he came back, he could have stood on and said, I want to go back out on loan, and somebody would have taken him on loan. There would have been somebody that had taken him for the season. So people need to get over it. All that I've said, combined with the fact that then for the last 2 seasons, he's played 80 games for Leeds United, and he's been good. I'm not defending the player that's been crap. He's been good.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's just a comment that's cracked me up there. Llewellyn, morning all. Getting spoiled with all these announcements. How many are we getting today? Oh, yeah, we'll wait and see, mate. We'll wait and see. Gav says Farke press conference at 1:30. Great. I'll try and catch up with that. The other person want to discuss a little bit, and I'll come to Paul's comments, who kind of gives us lift off on this. Metcher transfer is interesting. I like him, but if he stays, Prob goes on a free in the summer. If we can get 10 million, does that mean we can get the next level up in a backup striker? But then we would need 2. Yeah, I don't know if people have seen this, but late last night it came out that there was a link between Wrexham going for Metcher. No credible sources, or what you would kind of consider credible sources, have come out and denied it or confirmed it or anything like that. Metcher, interesting one, Jay. Got him for free last year. I think what he did and his impact last season was fantastic. You know, I was watching the Everton opening day win highlights again. God, it makes me sound like I just sit around watching Leeds highlights all day. That's probably do more than I realised, to be honest. But when he scored that penalty, Ellen Road was crackling.
Yeah,
it was the 80-odd minute. This was probably going to be the only chance we would have to win that game. It was a very tight game. There weren't a lot of chances. He stood up on his debut after coming on as a sub to put that ball in the back of the net.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes something. And then you look at like the Fulham goal where he scores the winner later. I think he's been fantastic for us as Metcher for the value.
Yeah.
But if something happens, obviously it could be BS, this Wrexham link. But what would you do in that situation, Jay? Now, the problem is, if they give us a chunk of change for someone you got in for free, it's pure profit. But then you've got basically 2 strikers to do, and it's hard enough getting one. But what say you?
I'm a bit split with this. I am a bit split with this for many reasons. I mean, first off, let's just say Lucas Metcher in the Championship would be an absolute cheat. Yeah. I'd be going and putting some money on Wrexham to go up somehow if they. And that makes him sound like an absolute world beater, but at Championship level, the guy would be a freak. Like, he's a very, very, very good footballer. He's been so unfortunate in his career with injuries. There's 2 sides to this, and neither is right. I'll try and kind of not sit on the fence eventually once I kind of explain both sides. But we got him for free. He leaves on a free. We've not lost anything. And there's a lot of value in keeping him around for another year. Great as a backup option. Doesn't mind being that backup option as well. He understands that he has had to rebuild his career, and Leeds United have allowed him to do that. His application's always been spot on. Daniel Farke trusts him, and he's so capable of scoring a vital goal for Leeds United. You know, some of them goals that you're talking about were massive moments. I think about and I know this one didn't mean to anything either, but the goal that he scored away at Forest.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I don't think Calvert-Lewin scores that.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, he done a little step over, drags it onto his right hand side and cross the goal into the opposite corner. I don't think Calvert-Lewin's got that in his locker, whereas Metcher has. So it's a real tricky one. But then there's the flip side of it. You know, I saw somebody mention 10 million. I'd say 10 million is probably about right. Somebody in the comments mentioned it earlier. I'd say 10 million is probably about right. If you then put that together with the money that we've got available, do you then just go out and smash a big striker? You get a big name, 40 million quid, and you have Calvert-Lewin and this other player vying for that one spot, and Okafor making up the backup option, Aronson as a second striker. You know, because there is other options that we've got in there. Willie Nonto could do a job in there. Dan James could do a job in there. So we don't desperately need another. We have to factor this in as well. We have got Matteo Joseph that's going to come back at some point during this season. Yeah. So maybe the route would be we sell Metcher, replace him with somebody that's actually going to vie for this spot and actually start more games than Metcher does. And then we look at the other options that we've got as the backups.
Well, we were going for Strand Larsen, weren't we? I mean, we were about to
exactly.
shell out 30, 40 million for Strand Larsen, and that him versus Dominic Calvert-Lewin would have been fascinating.
He made a mistake, Strand Larsen, in my opinion. He'd have been better coming to Leeds. I really, really believe that. And I think, you know, at the time, you haven't got hindsight. We now have hindsight, and we can say, I think he would have been more suited to us and in a better position now. I think Palace are in a bit of trouble, mate. I really do. I think they're going to be really looking over their shoulder. So I've just seen Gav's comment about Joe's nowhere near Prem player. I agree with you completely. I'd have sold him a year ago. Yeah. The point is, we're going to have a third or fourth choice striker on our books that we're paying for come November, coming back from an ACL situation. Now, come January, somebody might take him, but the likelihood is that they probably won't. So we're going to have to find a way of trying to reintegrate him to some point, because otherwise we're going to get no value when we try to sell him at the end of next season. So we're going to have a situation in which we have a third or fourth choice striker on our books. So we can't recruit for that as such. Do you get what I mean? Like it's a difficult one. We have to recruit for a slightly higher ceiling. So to answer your question, I would, if 10 million were on the table, I'd probably sell him. Only just because of the story that I'm now telling, that I want to replace him with a better striker that's going to real challenge Calvert-Lewin. If we're not, and you know, I don't know a name, you know, let's just take Troy Parrott as an example, right? Just because he's just got a better.
Yeah.
If we were signing Troy Parrott, I'd want to keep Metcher, because I feel like Troy Parrott's a bit of an experiment, and there's development there. We're not going to know whether he's going to be able to really hit the heights that we're going to need. If we were to have signed, let's just say we went out and put money in a Mateta. I'm just using him because I know he's kind of somewhat available. Then, yeah, we can sell Metcher. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, there's a suggestion here from 78. Thanks for your comment, mate. Get on the phone to West Ham. Metcher, part of the Tatty deal.
What, Metcher to West Ham?
Yeah, signing all Leeds players, apparently. But like you say, Tatty coming in, I mean, you know, step up from Metcher. But yeah, it would be fascinating to see Calvert-Lewin have that proper challenge. I just personally feel like Calvert-Lewin's so dominant in that role. Oh, God, it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a real tricky, because the thing is, I just think, again, this season, Calvert-Lewin will be so crucial and key. But on the other side, Jay, I mean, if he gets a bad enough injury, I'd be really concerned. Really concerned. Even if it was Metcher still there and Metcher was coming in week in, week out, I would be really concerned. And then you need someone physical and can do it. So it'd be fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
The ideal world, and I know every team would say this, but the ideal world is like a Krupe at Bournemouth.
Yeah.
You know, a 20-year-old striker out of nowhere that's his development and his quality for such a young player is staggering, but he's also happy playing, starting some games, being on the bench some games. That's the perfect alternative, and that's what we hope to have in a year or two with Harry Gray. You know, that is the
moving along, isn't it? Until Harry kind of, you know, can get, because the thing is, I think we're going to have to give Harry a go at some point. I think that will happen, because you need to happen. So yeah, it does feel like that.
Can I just say as well, because Gav's just put there about I'd like a faster forward than Tatty. This comment here. Yeah, sorry, I put up as well. I won't want Tatty. I know he's kind of been a name that's been bandied about, and I know that, you know, there's kind of an expectation that he might leave before the end of the window. I think he's a little bit of a wish Tevez. He's you know what I mean? Like he hustles and bustles, and you know, people slag Brendan Aronson for being this kind of player. We want a striker that puts the ball in the back of the net more often than not. He don't feel like that kind of player to me. I understand what qualities he brings. Again, he's like Bamford in the Premier League, but not as good at finishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not asked about Tatty to be honest at all. To be honest, some of the comments then on Metcher. Thanks for those, Steve. I'd like to keep Metcher because he offers something different to DCL when we need. Let's have a look. What else have we got here? And 78. If DCL stays fit, we are not getting better for this season.
Probably right. There's no right or wrong answer in this either. Like,
No.
you have an opinion about Metro either way. I think ultimately we want another striker, don't we? We do want another striker. That is where it comes down to. It's just about recruiting the right profile.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for your comments so far. If you could smash a like on the video as well, if you've not done so already. Elvedi confirmed, Jay in the building, press done. I've got to admit, I knew very little about him. The more I've kind of read about him, the more what I've seen people saying about him, I'm getting more excited for the impact that this guy can make. I feel like, what you said, can he be a challenger to be all and Rodon? And it feels like it's a tricky one because I really liked Seb Bornau, but it did feel like there was a kind of drop off. And it feels harsh to say that because it wasn't really a drop off, but it was.
I know what you mean.
I mean, it was kind of this grey area. And he always looked a bit stiff and kind of, and it also, Seb, were vulnerable with injuries a little bit. He was always kind of getting knocks. Elvedi, he's played a consistent number of games every season, year in, year out. International player. It just feels like, we've gone up a level in terms of that floor being raised. So great to have it finally done, Jay.
Yeah, the ceiling's not being raised as such with this. It's the floor that's been raised. I think that's a really great way of putting it. I speak very limited German, but I was watching the Mönchengladbach leaving video. I don't know. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh mate, who's cutting onions kind of thing. Like,
really?
Like genuinely, Elvedi is in real emotional distress trying to say goodbye. Like, when you see some of these goodbye videos and that this is genuine, like heart on his inside, which tells me that this move's massive for him. He's not coming here to play second fiddle. Yeah. He's coming here because he trusts Daniel Farke and he wants to play in the Premier League. But you go watch it, honestly. You won't obviously understand much of it because it's all in German. But the way that he's choking up is honestly, it made me choke up a little bit. been at Gladbach 10 years. It's basically all he's known as a professional. He started out in Switzerland for 1 year and then moved straight to Gladbach, and he's been there ever since. And you go through the comments. Now, like when a Leeds United legend leaves, and I know Leeds United are a certain type of fan base at times, but the comments would be, like legend, but then there'll be, you could have done better, on, rat, you've left, or whatever, because you've left at 29-year-old. Every single comment is legend, can't believe you've gone, I can't recognise a Gladbach without you. Like, every comment is just literally saying how great he is. They call him Mushroom as well. That's his nickname. You'll see it a lot in the comments. Go watch. Anybody that's watching, go watch the video. And on Brandon Serrano, go watch it. You'll see exactly what I mean. I think it's a great signing. And we're talking about, again, value for money. 6.8 million rising up to 8.5 or whatever it is. It's a bargain. It's such a great deal. And for me, I think he put serious competition on Joe Rodon. He might even put more competition on Jacobiol. I'm not sure. Because Elvedi will probably better suit the centre-back role than the right centre-back role. He's more of a head it, block it, proper kind of just a defender. Whereas Joe has to bring the ball out. I really like it. I've liked him his whole career. I've watched him a lot for Switzerland over the years. He's been a mainstay in the Swiss team for years. I think it's a great signing. Great signing.
Yeah, no, do you know what it is as well? It feels like we're insulating the squad a little bit. So we're trying to become established. So what I want to see, and I think gets us on perfectly to Nottingham Forest in a minute, actually. But do you know what Nottingham Forest were able to do is because they bought all these quality players, high quality players. It was like they had 4 managers last season. It's crazy. It was bedlam. But because they had the quality, the squad, they were able to survive. They were insulated by the quality. And I look at an Elvedi, and I just think, from everything I've read, it's like we're more insulated. If you get a bad injury to, Biol or Rodon or even Tarek, it's like, but there's someone who can come in that might end up keeping that place. It's not just we're having to fidge through and kind of, the quality drops off and everything like that. It just feels like we're just edging closer to being a more secure Premier League team in terms of a squad. In case it all goes wrong and you're changing managers or whatever, you've got quality players that, can deliver.
I genuinely don't think you see a drop off at all. I really do. I'm really excited to see Elvedi play. I don't know whether he'll get on the pitch at the weekend, but I believe he will. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the comments a little bit today. But I think it's a top side. I think there's so much more in it as well because of like the personality, the player, the man behind the player, the captain side of it. We've gone and taken Montegladbach's captain. Like that's impressive. You know what I mean? It means something. It's been Switzerland captain as well when Granit Xhaka's not playing. So, he's a top player. Love it. I absolutely love it. Like I said, smart in terms of the transfer fee. I can't believe that Newcastle and Villa weren't in for him. I cannot believe that they weren't in for him. Given that their circumstances with their, PSR, SER and difficulties recruiting and stuff, I just can't believe it.
Yeah, I really feel like there's like ego involved in the clubs almost, where it's like they're not kind of almost big enough or prospecty enough to sign.
Yeah.
Weird. I think Newcastle have really kind of messed up with that. As Steve says, he already has obviously come here because of Farke.
Big part of it, but I think it's coming here to play Premier League football. I think that's the be all and end all of it. Bornau knew that he wasn't going to start. I don't believe, because the conversations happened, right? Like Elvedi would say to Daniel Farke, am I going to play? And he would say, yeah. And then he would say, well, what about Sebastian Bornau, who I'm replacing? He's leaving because he's not playing. He's going to Hamburg. And Daniel Farke must have said to him, yeah, but you're better than Sebastian Bornau, and you're capable of displacing Joe Rodon and Jacobiol. We know it's not going to be Tariq because of the amount that we've paid for him and the fact that he's left-footed. But the other two are very viable options. Be all and end all. I did say that.
Tell us on there. Let's get to it then. Opening Premier League match of the season, Leeds United versus Nottingham Forest at the City Ground on Saturday, 3:00. I'm going to read you a stat here, Jay. But I want to kind of temper this by the fact that we hadn't won at Old Trafford since 1981 or something. Nottingham Forest have won their last 4 home league games against Leeds, while in the top flight, they're unbeaten in 14 against Leeds at the City Ground since losing 2-0 in 1971-72 season.
Wow.
So that's a long time. That's a long time.
I'm pretty sure I was there the last time we beat Forest at the City Ground. Do you remember the Alioski volley? I was there behind the goal.
Well, this is it. I mean, we've not played them in the top flight, obviously, much over the last 25 years. So that kind of covers that time. It is one of them grounds. It is one of those where, we've had some big occasions over the year. I think they're a super interesting team. I think they've gone out and signed Osman Diamonde, who we were linked with for a long time. They've got him in top signing. They had a chaotic season last year, Jay. I mean, it was a bonkers season. We know what the owner's like. It almost feels like you've got this counterpoint of Leeds stable at the moment, very kind of considerate, slowly building piece by piece. It feels like Nottingham Forest take a wrecking ball to everything every few weeks. They'll be hoping for some stability. I mean, they've got some balls on them. They go to Crystal Palace, they take Crystal Palace's manager, and say, no, come over here because we've got the ambition, even though he won trophies at Crystal Palace, which is a bit nuts when you think about it. Europa League semi-final last year, but a poor league campaign. It feels to me they've got Glasner in to deliver a trophy. They'll be looking at the domestic cups, maybe even, a European trophy in the future. Where do you sit with Forest? What do you make of where they're at, and what kind of test will it be for Leeds at the weekend, do you think?
It's really hard to know, isn't it? It really is hard to know, as it will be for a few of these clubs. Forest are a bit of a basket, and I think Glasner's a bit of a basket as well, but he's a great manager. And I think what we've seen with Glasner is short-term impact can be huge. So he has got the capabilities of being able to get a really, really big reaction, which is what we saw at Palace. So you would have thought they're going to be, for certainly maybe a season, maybe even only half a season, he's going to be, and they're going to be difficult to deal with. We know that they've got so much quality within that team as well, and they've actually managed to shell the team out a little bit too, in terms of some of the other, kind of bit part players. I won you as an example, going over to
Coventry, isn't it?
Coventry, yeah. So it's going to be really interesting. I still think they're missing probably one big firepower. I know Chris Wood's had purple patches for them. Callum Wendy's coming back, and they've got the other lad as well, and the Ego Jesus, I think it is.
Yeah.
Ego,
yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where they land. They finished last season off all right, didn't they? They obviously saved themselves under previous manager. It's going to be difficult. The City ground's a difficult place to go. It's a bit like going to Ellen Road. It's a very, very similar situation, similar club, really. In terms of history, stature, their standing in the game, and when the City ground is up, it's absolutely rocking. It is a horrible, horrible place to go at times. So it's an awful start to the season, really. You would have much preferred any game at home over that. Really,
on Tuesday.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna get on Tuesday. Just stay down.
Yeah, I'm not about that. But yeah, I'm quietly optimistic, but I'm nervous from a perspective of I don't want us to have all this great feeling that we've had and then have a loss on Saturday. It'll sink. It'll stink. You know what I mean? It'll give me that sinking feeling. So yeah.
Well, I mean, looking at last year, I thought it was one of the most disappointing performances we put in last season against Forest away, and it was wild because Forest were literally walking through us and creating chance after chance. We actually took the lead, and it was like, oh, okay. But they deserved it completely.
Yeah.
It was that spell, it was that little tricky spell. We had Brighton and Forest away, and it was poor performances. And then you switched to Ellen Road. When they came to us at Ellen Road, it was a different story. We'd obviously not found that spell that we had where we only lost 5 in 25 league games. It was before.
Totally different team.
Totally different team, yeah. 2 at the back, etc. I'm genuinely excited about it. It's one of those things. It's like, because there's such a good feeling. I think I dropped it in the group about the Athletic did a fans poll, and Leeds fans are the most optimistic in the league. 99% optimism. An unusual position for Leeds to be in, and yeah, it would feel a little bit like the air would get sucked out of us if we lost it. I'm fascinated by it. I'm kind of really intrigued to see it. I'm hoping that because we're so settled, so stable, we've not taken a wrecking ball to our team in the summer. No significant losses of players. I'm hoping that's going to kind of see us through and we can nick a win. I think they've got Glasner. I'm hoping, I know they've had a stronger finish to pre-season, but I'm hoping that we can catch them before they really get into the groove under Glasner. Because you're right, I think Glasner is a bit of a nutter, isn't he? I've been watching the Mourinho documentary this week, and there's kind of echoes of that type of spiky personality, very demanding. You wouldn't bet against it going wrong for him at Nottingham Forest.
No, you won't.
You certainly don't see it as a long-term kind of appointment, but he might deliver you a trophy. So it's going to be fascinating. It's going to be absolutely fascinating.
I can see it going all sorts of it. I wouldn't be surprised if we go down there and sweep them aside. I really wouldn't. Given that we've played in pre-season, given the form that we showed back in the last season, the team in itself, the qualities that we've got, I really, really wouldn't be surprised to see us win 3-0. I wouldn't, but it doesn't mean that I also can't see it going the other way too. I'm aware of the City ground on the opening day with the new manager. They're going to be right at it. So we're going to have to be at his absolute very, very, very best. I think we'll be extremely difficult to beat. That's what I've said about this season. I think we'll be very, very difficult to beat. And I'm seeing some of the predictions that are coming in. I think, you score against Leeds United, you've done well this season. That's how I kind of feel about it. And that's where it needs to be built from. I can't wait to see James Trafford in a full Leeds game. I can't wait for that. To have moments where I think my word, the keeper has won us the game. That will feel insane after years and years and years of nothing. Probably the last time that I've really felt like that was Melier season 1 in the Premier League. You know, some of the saves that he made in that season without fans were unbelievable. I always mention the Sheffield United one. It's just a freak, where he saves it, snap direct save to his right. It's unbelievable. I mean,
we had, you know, we were underperforming to our underlying stats last year.
Yeah,
which tells you we're letting in goals that shouldn't have been let in.
Yeah,
things like that. If you eradicate that out of it, Jay, I mean that's the other thing that backs up so much. We're not in a Sunderland where it's like this overperformance thing. It feels like if we can level up to where we should be, we'll be flying.
Yeah, and we're going to be winning these games, aren't we? I mean, we struggled away from home for a lot of last season, but in the last 25 games, we didn't lose very often. We were drawing a lot of them games. We lost against Newcastle away, and that may be it.
Newcastle away, I think it might have been,
minimal.
With West
Ham, we lost away at West Ham, didn't we? But we didn't lose very often away from home. We were taking really good points, and we were taking points where they should have been wins as well. You know, Sunderland away, I think of. Spurs away, I think of. You know, there were plenty of examples last season towards the back end of the year where we were good away from home. So I'm just excited for it, mate. And if it goes wrong and we lose, I'll be sad for the evening, and I'll hopefully be able to analyse the performance and say, look, we've got loads to go at there, because it's not going to be a shock if Leeds United lose away at Forest on the opening day. It's not. No. It wouldn't be a shock if any team went there and lost on the opening day, in my opinion. So, you know, we have to just take it in a stride. Team's going to be interesting.
I'm going to say lineup-wise, Jay, where are you with that? I suppose one of the big talking points will be Okafor. Does Okafor get a start or not? From Farke's previous comments, it seems towards leaning no. We'll see what the press conference happens today. We know Nonto is out, so you attacking wise, you're an option down off the bench there. But how do you see the lineup for Leeds United going into that game?
I think it'll be the same starting lineup that we saw against Augsburg.
Yeah,
I think Brendan will start. I think Wilson will start. I think it'll be Stack and Ampadu in the middle. I'd be tempted to go with Longstaff, but I understand why it'd go either way, just because I really liked what Longstaff's done during pre-season. I think he deserves it. On the left side, who would be on the left then? Would it be Brendan? I guess that would be it depends on the way that you set it up in the formation, doesn't it? I think Justin will obviously start at left wing back, Bogle on the right, and then we'll see the back three that we've been seeing, that we know, obviously Trafford behind them. And I'd be happy with that. I think it'd be, a solid team. I would be tempted, with it being away from home, maybe to drop Brendan and go Longstaff, Stack and Ampadu. That is another potential. But I do worry that then leaves us a little deep, a little lacking in pace and energy. We still want to win this game. We're game week 1. We can look to try and win this game. So I'd be tempted to just go exactly the same as we saw against Augsburg.
I agree, and I think Okafor is such a good weapon from the bench. Yeah. Do you still look at the attacking areas, Jay? I mean, I brought up the kind of starting 11 from the Augsburg one, and in terms of attacking options at that point, it was James, Okafor, and Metcher. It would be nice by the end of the window to get another really good option in there. I think it still feels like we're lacking in that area for me. I mean, the young guys that have done well in pre-season, I don't expect them to have kind of any impact. But I think, looking at Longstaff and Tanaka on the bench, I think they're brilliant central midfield options. I don't expect either to start. And then, you've got Justin at left back and who can kind of, maneuver around. I agree with you. I think it'll be Ampadu and Stack in the middle. Big moment for Wilson as well. Big opportunity for Wilson. Fascinated to see how he gets on. But in terms of those attacking options from the bench, still feels lacking to me in terms of making that impact. Okafor is probably the one you're looking at going, he can if he gets off the bench.
I think we're missing one, aren't we? I think realistically we're missing one. I think it's going to be very greedy or maybe market opportunity specific for us to get an attacking creative winger 10 player and a striker.
Yeah,
we might get a player that can do both. So, you know, he's a 9 but can play out on the wing a little bit. I'm not saying Ollie Watkins, but an Ollie Watkins kind of style where he can be in multiple positions. We might get somebody that can do that. I think me and you were saying this on the previous show, I think it'll be a backup keeper and one attacker. And I do think we are missing that in terms of quality. You know, when you look at the floor and the ceiling being raised with Tarek and Harry Wilson, James Trafford, Elvedi, we're missing the attacker version of that. And I know Harry Wilson's in that category, but we needed 2 of them because we really need to be looking at a world in which Dan James and Willie Gnonto are not really contributing as much to that. I think Dan James will have a big part to play this season. You know, we've seen a lot of him in pre-season. I think Daniel Farke really likes him. And I understand why he likes him. I think he still just does offer stuff that, again, others don't, and he can stretch teams in a way that others can't. But we do still really miss one. And again, it comes back to the conversation as to whether Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets injured or Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not been effective in this game, so we need somebody to come in and affect the game in a different way. You know, somebody that maybe runs in beyond the back line a little bit more than both. I know Metcha can do that more than Calvert-Lewin, but it's not really his game, isn't running in behind. So, yeah. Definitely still missing one, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think what I'd love to see as well, I'm hoping this is what Wilson will be, is that kind of clinical edge. Because I agree. I mean, if Dan James could improve his final ball, his final product, God, he'd be absolutely lethal. I mean, I was watching some of Okafor's highlights from the season. The amount of crazily good finishes he had, technically, it's like, that is what you need. You know, it feels like when the ball comes out to a Dan James, I mean, there was one against Leipzig where, you know, he didn't even get it on target. It's like, no, we need more at this level. We need someone who's going to actually do the final bit. Do you know what I mean?
Okafor's a Sinistera regen, isn't he? He's like, you know, still clinical, but just can't keep him fit. And I mean, Okafor's fit more than Sinistera was, but, you know, I mean, you're right, they've got that edge. But again, I always kind of spin back to this and give it the caveat that if he was doing that week in, week out, and he was available 38 games out of 38, he wouldn't be at Leeds United. You know, he just wouldn't. Did
you see the interview? There were an interview with Okafor, and he seemed to imply that he didn't play at the end of the season or come back because it was like to be ready for the World Cup. It was like to get him fit for the World Cup, which just, you know, and now we didn't need him at the end. Yeah. We were already assured after that Burnley game that he actually scored him. It's mad. His fitness is so precarious that it was like wrap him up, you know, and then he ended up playing 20 minutes in the World Cup.
It's like he's not a top level athlete, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is. I mean, to be a top level footballer now, any Premier League footballer needs to be insanely high level athlete level, and it's like he's like the notch below that, but his talent makes up for it. And it is frustrating. It is really, really frustrating because you know, the best players when the 70th minute comes, they're the ones that are still going that are going to change the game for you. If Noah Okafor's played 70 minutes, you know he's not going to be that man.
Yeah.
He's not going to be that man.
No. Fascinating to see. Hopefully we can get up to speed quickly because we will need his impact. Before we go then, it's finally here, Premier League season. I'm just excited to see what we do. I really am. I'm hoping, we don't all end up, disappointed and scratching us head in a couple of weeks thinking what's going on. But I think you were right before. What I feel this year, Jay, is I feel that we can withstand, even if it was a poor start, because I feel the squad is in a much better place. And I think overall we'll be fine. I think, whereas last year it felt like, it was like, don't know about this. Feels like I thought we had a bottom three squad at that point. You're thinking, God, it's going to be some mission to keep us up. It feels different this year. It feels like the ambition, the signings, the stability we have could just take us to a higher place. But we'll wait and see.
I don't think it can really be argued that last season we had a bottom four squad. I said all season I thought we had a bottom three, but I think we definitely had a bottom four squad. Yeah. And you could maybe put West Ham below that if you wanted to. And we still then overachieved, and the metrics show that we overachieved even more than the final position that we finished in. I don't feel like that now. I think the season that the players that we've now got that are still here have all developed, because that can happen. Ethan Ampadu's a better player, Joe Rodon's a better player, Jaden Bogle's a better player. All and I'd label that a lot of the squad, and then you add in the quality differences of, I'd say specifically, Tariq and James Trafford. I think they elevate us so much. And then Harry Wilson is a massive improvement on what we had in that area of the pitch. And then Elvedi obviously is increased us in terms of then the options that we've got to keep making sure that we've got that solidity in that back line, which is so important. And I do think there will be another one that comes in and we're like, holy, Leeds need to be watched now. So I think they will. But so I'm feeling very much a world in which, but before we will go through some comments, right? We've got time for comments.
Yeah.
We've got a lot. I think 11th to 14th this season is where we're going to probably sit. I think an overachievement would be 8th to 11th. And we could hope to do that if we maximise everything that we've got and we keep injury free and we don't have any big road bumps that we need to avoid. We could do that. Quick prediction. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say I want a cup run again. I'd love a League Cup run. I hope we're strong in the League Cup, and I want it. I love it. It's 7 games to get to the final in the.
We're in a world in which we can hope to win a trophy, right? Like we got to the semi-final of the competition last year, and we could argue that we didn't disgrace ourselves. The performance wasn't brilliant in the semi-final, but we didn't disgrace ourselves. We could have been in a final. Absolutely, a good cup run would be great. It gives a great feeling to the club as well. I was just going to say prediction for Saturday. I don't know. There's been so many good predictions in the comments, and I don't know if my head or my heart's talking. I'm going to say 1-1. I'm going to say 1-1. I really hope that we win, obviously, and I think there is a world in which we can. But I'm going to say 1-1.
I'm going to go 3-1 Leeds.
3-1 Leeds.
I'm going to go 3-1 because what I think will happen is I think we'll go 3-0 up. And I think through sheer City ground will of the home crowd, they'll blow one in. But I'm God. It's funny because when we started this channel, honestly, I'd never make predictions like that. But yeah, I am going to go 3-1 Leeds. Let's have a look and see what some of you guys have said. So Jay, you're going 1-0. I'm going 3-1. Gav's going 2-1 Leeds. Steve 0-0. But the more optimistic side of me says 0-1. Who's taking corners? Yeah, good question. I think it'll be we'll want in swingers, won't we? So it'll be Harry from the right and Stack from the left, maybe. And yeah, Paul Noah is a 90s player. Yeah, it does feel a little bit like that, doesn't it? Just to give you a heads up, myself and Jay, we will be back live immediately after full time as well. So please do hit the notification bell. We'll be having a great chat, a really good in-depth look at the game. It won't be a recorded video, so there'll be interaction with you guys commenting as well. So let us know how you felt about the game, because I know there's a lot of content creators that just put out kind of a standard kind of 10-minute video. We won't be doing that. We'll be live, so get on and get your comments in on that one. Andrew 2-0 Leeds. Born Leeds 2-0 as well. So very optimistic. Just want to get this comment in from John as well. Do you think the other teams will know what to expect from us and raise their game, giving us a hard second season? I mean, that is a good point. We had that with Bielsa. Obviously, the squad wasn't kind of backed up in terms of what you needed to do. But yeah, I mean, that is an interesting observation there. What do you make of that one?
I think the thing is, I mean, come the last 2 months of last season, what we were doing weren't a surprise to them. It's just whether they could do anything about it. And the truth is, we see Leeds United as being this big focal point that they should focus on. Teams don't work like that. They focus on winning every single game. The next game, they'll be putting as much attention into all of the 19 teams that they've got to come and face. So I don't think there'll be a special place for Leeds United in that conversation. I would imagine that they'll be trying to do stuff that will unsettle the way that our system works. The great thing with our system now, though, is it's built from the back. which makes us really difficult to beat. There is only we've seen this for years, being a Leeds United fan in the Championship, the low block problem that we had. Now, we don't play a low block. We play a mid block, and we condense them spaces with bodies. And it only works if the players are fully focused and regimented in doing it properly. And that's why it's become so difficult to beat. When was the last time that we conceded we lost by more than one goal, other than the West Ham game? We've been in games now for 6 months, 7 months. So yeah, I'm not worried by it. Fingers crossed the season doesn't start now. I'm like, we're wrong.
Like we had last time, second season. That would have nightmare. That bloody hell. Stephen, 0-1 to Leeds. Happy I found the channel. Yes, nice one, mate. Please do get subscribed. We appreciate that. And Paul, we can tell by pre-season we've changed it up tactically. Good stuff. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much to everyone who commented. If you've not done already, please do like the video, get subscribed to the channel. If you're watching this later as well as your preview to the game, please do get commenting as well on anything we've discussed. Like I mentioned, me and Jay will be back full time. We'll be straight on to give our immediate, unfiltered, instant match reaction to Leeds United versus Nottingham Forest. Hopefully we'll be in a good phase, but join us for that. Get your comments in as well. It will be a discussion on there as well. Loads of stuff coming up on the channel. Please keep abreast of that as well. But I've been Sim Brown, with me as ever, Jason Booker. Jason, thank you, mate.
Thank you, mate.
And we will see you on Saturday. Take care. Bye-bye.